Are we filming? Yes, we are. So welcome to another video. This is an idiosyncratic video, but quite therapeutic, and I love using fountain pen ink, but it's not very practical sometimes. So I tend to use a Pilot G2. That's my weapon of choice, and I typically use in many of my binders this wonderful Clairefontaine 50 GSM paper, but it doesn't take a fountain pen very well, particularly like a big bold fountain pen, a broad nib, or a medium nib even. It's not great, but I do love the paper, and this combination, Pilot G2 with the 1mm nib or tip and the 50 GSM paper works a treat, absolutely. But it's not great for fountain pen use. So why am I into my fountain pens? Why am I experimenting? It's because I'm trying to get more involved with using fountain pens more and Pilot G2s less. And to that end, I thought it'd be a good time to experiment with my Bay State Blue. I've had this bottle for about a year now, and I've not actually used it because of its reputation. It's many people say it's a dangerous ink. It's a dangerous ink because it stains the inside of your pen. It won't mix with any other inks, so you've got to be even Noodler's inks. So you've got to be very, very careful to make sure your pen is absolutely squeaky clean. And then you are unable to get the stain out of the pen ever again. I mean, even if you use an ultrasonic cleaner, and I have done in the past. I don't have one now, but I used to have an industrial ultrasonic cleaner. I am told that this ink is so tenacious that it coats the inside of your ultrasonic cleaning tank and you can't get it off. So there are special properties with this ink that you mustn't mess with, you know. It says a 1946 replica of vintage colonial ink. Well, I don't know whether that's true, but all I do know is it is a lovely shade of blue. It's very, very bright on the page, and that is, I guess, the attraction for many people. So having got this ink, having got this ink, I've got about 100 inks, but this is one I've never ever tried before, but I do like it, and I've been chomping at the bit to get it. And I thought I would use I've got a range of TWSBI Go pens, which I guess are my favourite fountain pen, and I thought I would try a medium nib, and I cleaned it out, and so I have now got some Bay State Blue in here. It is one of the things I like about this is the fact that you can pump the plunger, and that's important because from my personal experience, you need to clean. You may need to clean it even more if the ink has gone dry. But if you expel the original ink, it takes. I've found my experiment. It takes 30 pumps to completely clean the inside of the pen. But notwithstanding that, we've got some Bay State Blue, and we've got a medium TWSBI Go. This is you've got to be careful here. You've got to be careful because Noodler's ink is supplied full right up to the top. But it works really well. This combination of the pump action TWSBI Go with a full ink. You can hear the bubbles coming out. I mean, it's just wonderful, and it's I'm so glad that I used my my cutting mat on here, because you just know that you're going to get ink somewhere. Very hard to rub off, once it drips. But anyway, we got there. We got there. But as far as the testing, and I want to show you the result on this this paper, 50 GSM Clairefontaine paper, which otherwise is nice. I really like it, but it's not good for this type of fountain pen. You can see that it has the bleed through is pretty heavy here. You could use this paper one-sided, of course, but then you'd be using twice as much paper. I mean, I blow hot and cold over that. But I want to try as far as possible to minimise my paper use. Unless I'm writing in a journal. If I'm writing in a journal, then I tend to write one-sided, because I want to use a fountain pen. And I typically use Noodler's Blue Anti-Feather, which is like they call it a bulletproof ink, so that it will chemically bind to the paper. Now, this Bay State Blue is not a bulletproof ink. It's not described as or categorized as a bulletproof ink. In other words, you could potentially remove the ink if it comes into contact with bleach. It doesn't, so I understand, it doesn't chemically bond to the paper in the way that the Noodler's bulletproof inks do. But I suspect that if I wrote my journal with this, it would probably still be around and legible and visible in 100, 200, 300 years' time. Who knows? It all depends on water damage, I guess. I'm going to try and experiment with this at some point to see just how good or bad the how the ink stands up to immersion in water. But that's for another day, I guess. But I just like the colour. And it's the use for me will be, I use a lot of notebooks, just cheap notebooks from my local supermarket. I always have some sort of notebook everywhere. I have one in the kitchen, in the studio here, in the bedroom. I even have one on the bathroom windowsill, just in case I need to reach out while I'm having a shower and write on the paper. But I use pencil in the shower, because you can write in the shower with a pencil, and which is just as well, because if I haven't got my glasses on, it's a matter of touch and memory rather than seeing what I'm writing, but it does the job. So I have a lot of this paper dotted around, in the form of either a cheap spiral bound notebook like this, or some offcuts, typically secured by some treasury tags, which works very well. And indeed, when I'm out and about, this is my EDC. Again, D-ringed, so I'm using treasury tags. This works very well because it is so bulletproof. I don't have to worry about damaging the rings in this format, because the rings are already damaged and removed. So I basically use this as a notebook. I do have a diary of appointments for the next 14 days on a single sheet of A4 paper in the back pocket here. But I have some paper money and some credit cards, etc. And with this sort of paper, I could very easily use I could take my Bay State Blue fountain pen, and I can use this one-sided, not a problem. And because these are basically offcuts, let me show you these. So these are offcuts from the cutting room floor when I'm making my personal size cuts, and you can see that the offcut is more than wide enough and tall enough to make these mini-sized, slightly oversized, but mini-sized pages. So nothing is wasted. So I find that this is actually a really, really handy thing, because I can just write one note on each page and then discard them once I have transferred that information into my diary when I get home or whatever. But this works very well as a tear-off notebook system, which I can load with fresh paper, typically once a week, by just... It looks really untidy, but it's very efficient. Just unhooking the treasury tags and adding some more paper, and it works very well. Works really, really well. But I'm going to report back on this Bay State Blue. I've been itching to try it for the last year, and then I moved house, and then I kind of forgotten about it. But now I've decided to start using it in anger. And another thing I like about these TWSBI Goes is that you can see the amount of ink you have left, because it's see-through, and they look sort of fairly, to the untrained eye, I think they're about 23 to 25 pounds, something like that here in the UK. So not a cheap pen, because you can buy a fountain pen for about £1 on Amazon if you buy a pack of 12. It's a nice pen. It's a nice writing pen in a range of nibs, but crucially, this way that you press the plunger down into the ink and release, press and release, it's perfect. It's perfect for me, and I'm hoping that this Bay State Blue, which gives me a lot of pleasure when I write with it, with a TWSBI Go, that could be a winning formula. Thanks very much for watching. Until my next video, goodbye.